Hey everybody, I'm Tim. I'm an aspiring author and I'm working on my first novel, Picture of the Heart. Here's the cover for that. Figure I might as well show that to you. That's what we think it's going to look like. We're not quite there. We've got some formatting things that have to be worked out. And I'm on what I hope is my last pass at it. Of course, I have said that a few times. And if you are an aspiring author or an author, you probably know what I'm talking about. I feel like you always think you're on your last pass at it. In fact, I made a joke the other day. Jerry Jenkins had said, and I'm paraphrasing, but basically he said, you're not finished with your novel until you're happy with every word. And I made a joke online. I said, now, thanks to Jerry's sage advice, I will not be done with this novel until I'm dead. Because it seems like every time I go back through it, there's always something I want to change. And so all the people that are looking to support me and they ask, hey, when's the novel going to be done? I'm like, oh, soon, I promise. But then I go back through it again. I'm like, okay, eventually it'll be done. Maybe that's just what I need to say. But anyway, I want to talk to you today just quickly about distractions. I think distractions and lack of inspiration can go hand in hand sometimes, because when you're not feeling inspired, it's a lot easier to become distracted. And so one of the things that I was holding to that was just not accurate is that I felt like I had to be inspired every time I sat down behind my computer. And the good news is Jerry Jenkins said this. He said, you don't go to your 9 to 5 and tell your boss, hey, I can't work today because I'm not feeling inspired. He said, you go do the work. And he said, it's the same thing with writing. Now, Jerry's published over 200 books and he's had, don't quote me on this, but I think 70 something of those on New York Times bestseller list. Jerry's a highly accomplished author. And he said, you just go sit down and write. Like it's your job, so you do it. Don't get me wrong, we all want to feel inspired. We all want to feel like every time we sit down that just the creativity is just flowing. But that's just not always reality. And I think if you wait for that, then the distractions will overtake you. Sometimes you just have to keep the end goal in sight. Like, I want to finish this novel and I want other people to read it. And if you have a deadline, that's easier. If it's a self-imposed deadline, it can be a little more difficult. But distractions are always there. Something I recently said to my online writers group, I said, why is it when I wake up, I cannot wait to write? And then when I go sit down behind the computer, I can't want to write. And then when I leave, because I'm finally fed up with it, I go and I'm like, wow, I can't wait to get home and write again. It seems like my inspiration comes anywhere but behind the keyboard. Now, I want to quote K.M. Whelan. I think it's Weiland. You should check out her website. She's a self-published author. She said, and I'm paraphrasing, I believe in inspiration. She said, so I make sure that every morning when I go sit down behind my computer, I'm inspired. You're not always going to feel it. You're not always going to want to do it. I can tell you that. But it's that you sit down and you say, I've got a goal in mind and I'm going to accomplish this goal. And so it is in that way that you're inspired. I'm inspired to finish this novel. It's not necessarily that I sit down and all the creative stuff's flowing and I'm just super inspired in the novel. When you find yourself in the middle of like your 150th edit of your novel, inspiration is a little hard to come by. Okay, so I just would say, as somebody who's been doing this for a few years now, if you're having trouble, I would say it just comes down to discipline and just telling yourself, I will be inspired when I sit down behind that keyboard and I will get the work done. Here's some tips for you that may help you. If you're having trouble with your motivation or your inspiration, go ahead and set a word count that you need to accomplish for that day. Set yourself a reasonable and an attainable goal for that day and then hit that goal and make sure you accomplish that. And I think you'll find that when you sit down behind the keyboard and you actually push the distractions aside, distractions are the enemy, and you actually start working on your novel, I think you'll find that you are quickly in a rhythm. If not, this is what I used to do. I would set a 45-minute timer and then I'd take a 15-minute break every hour, 45, 15. You can do 50, 10 or whatever. But I find that you had something to look forward to if you're not really feeling like doing it that day. Like, okay, all I have to do is write for 50 minutes. No, not a 10 and a 50 ratio, guys. I know how we are. No, 50 or 45 and 15, whatever, but a reasonably attainable goal. Anyway, hope that helped you guys. If you're interested in more of this kind of content, just go ahead and like and subscribe. I'm going to put this on my YouTube author page, which is Tim A. Copeland, and you can look me up there. We also have a website, timantoncopeland.com. I'll pop that in a link below, and hopefully you'll go over there and check out, have some blogs and some content. Also, you can sign up for my monthly newsletter if you're interested.